Welcome, everyone, to The Way It Is. I'm your host, Luca Andolfatto with Remax Service First Realty. And this is the 22nd installment of this podcast, which, again, every time I keep saying these numbers, it keeps getting harder and harder to believe. But I want to just say thanks for those that tune in and tune in regularly. So I'm giving you this podcast on the eve of an impending... Well, we're in the third lockdown and an impending stay-at-home order across the province. So Ben Myers, my videographer and podcast guy, is getting mad at me because we were supposed to record this yesterday, and then I bailed on it because I wasn't feeling, and we were kicking around a couple of different podcast ideas, and yeah, I just wasn't feeling it. So we're doing this early Wednesday morning at the office. We're distanced. He's masked. I'm not, obviously. And we had a topic, and it'll be a topic for another day. But I'm going to talk about this pandemic. This has been percolating with me since it started. So I guess a year and a bit. And I know everyone's got an opinion, and that's, I guess, what makes the world go round. So I'm just going to offer some of mine. I'm not here to preach. And I was going to do a rant because those that know me well know that I get very animated when I talk about topics that are important to me, or at least I'm passionate about. This is certainly one of them. And so I know everybody's really frustrated, 100%. That's obviously, that's the commercial, Captain Obvious, hotels.com. So, but here's the rub. People get upset when they think that we're over-regulated or over-policed and over-legislated. And do you know why that is? I sat back and thought about why that is. Well, it's to stop people from being people. Because at the end of the day, the governments have to protect people from themselves. And COVID is a pretty classic case of that. Here we are, third lockdown, virus hasn't stopped. It's subsided a bit in between, which I guess adds proof to the point that if you stay away from each other, keep a mask on, wash your hands, stay within your bubbles, things might actually go the way science intends it. So that's my first frustration, is that no one pays attention to the science, or at least adheres to it anyway. It's a virus. It's not a flu. It kills people. People have died. And I think that's sort of one of the overarching issues with this pandemic, because I think I've talked about it before when I interviewed my family doctor. We have these extreme camps, right? We have this massive spectrum. The I don't give a you know what to I'm going to stay in my basement locked in a room till it's over, and then everything in between. The problem becomes that you don't care about it if you're on the right side of the statistical ledger, and you do if you are. Meaning, if you've had a family member that's died, a person in a long-term care facility that's passed away, someone that's even just had the virus and recovered or still not recovered. I have a client 8 months ago, got COVID. She still hasn't had her sense of smell and sense of taste returned to her. I'm going to tell you this. I'm a big foodie. We're going to do a food episode podcast one time. If I lost my sense of taste and smell, I don't know what I would do, to be candid. That would be pretty brutal. And then there's those that just still never recover fully. They walk around tired, lethargic, and needing care all the time. So, what could have happened? Well, I guess the point being that a lockdown should mean a lockdown. It should mean stop what you're doing. I think the East Coast, where my kids are, who I haven't seen since this started, is a pretty good example. I mean, they're not unscathed, but they created their Atlantic bubble. They policed and prevented people from coming into their borders, and when they did, they policed them pretty diligently there. In Ontario, I dare say that no one adhered to their health regions or stayed within their health regions, hence the cause for spread. The virus spreads between people, folks. It's not a mystery. It doesn't travel on the 401. It comes in a person, gets close to another person, and somebody gets it. So, we all heard the stories from business owners. I've had them on my podcast. Restaurants, when they were in lockdown and stay at home, they were still here, eating in restaurants, staying in hotels, and flying on planes. I hate to say it, but why are there still planes in the air throughout this pandemic? And even during this shutdown, there's still going to be planes in the air taking people to places. I'm not saying people aren't essential, because there are people that are near essential during this pandemic, certainly are. And we rely on them every day. And some of them are past burnout now and getting hammered again. But if it's the one thing the pandemic taught us, is that we can work remotely now. And I don't know how essential you need to be that you still need to get on a plane, to go within this country, but go anywhere else on the planet, for starters. How inane is that we have a border that we can't cross by vehicle, but you can get on a plane and go south? Little bit contradictory maybe, eh? So, I apologize for the profanity. So there's the rub, folks. Stop. You got to stop. Stay in your health region. Don't go outside of it. If we had locked this all down from the very beginning and picked, a grocery store within each neighborhood or within a certain 10-kilometer radius of each whatever, and all just agreed that we were going to do contactless pickup, order your food, go get what you need, the basics, there wouldn't have been lineups around Costco's in the world. There wouldn't have been lineups around Walmart's in the world. There would have been a lot of workers probably protected. And I'm not saying there's things that needed to stay open. Absolutely, there are things. The world still's got it. The world turns. The world still turns. You can't shut it down. I fully aware of that, fully cognizant of that. But as far as how you police those channels and how you control the flow of goods and services, I'm not the smartest guy on the planet not by any stretch, but I'm hard pressed to think that they couldn't have figured something better out. I'm not throwing anybody under the bus either. I'm just frustrated now too, like everybody else. And I'm a fortunate one. Believe me, I am not coming from a real estate. We were deemed essential, and as you've all heard, it's a market in 33 years I've never seen the like of it. Challenging. The most challenging market I've ever operated in, that's for sure. It's going to get even a bit more challenging now. But, if we'd shut everything down, even for a month, let's imagine that. Let's say when this first started, you closed everything down for a month or 60 days even, told everybody to stay home, put everything in place where people still get their basic essentials. Stay where you are. Don't fly in a plane. Don't go anywhere. I'm pretty sure we have cost analysis people, statistical analysis people, data analysis people that could have done all the projections. They did it for the Suez Canal when the ship was stuck. They were pretty quick to pump out the numbers of billions of dollars it was costing every day that thing was stuck. So I'm pretty sure we could have done the fallout and the projections on what that would have cost everybody. And then you start writing checks. Simple as that. Just start writing checks, because everybody needed them. I know there's people that have taken advantage of this pandemic and benefited from it. That's always going to happen. There's always going to be loopholes. There's always going to be that's just the way of the world. But if that had happened and then you started paying everybody, who's to say what would have happened? Maybe the numbers would have dropped. Maybe they would have come back. I don't know. I know this sort of half foot in, half foot out life that we've been living, which really that's what it's been. Commit, not commit. Sounds like some of my personal relationships, for good sakes. Anyway, and now the trouble with a lot of business owners, apart from not being able to conduct business, is that for the times that they were open, now they've probably made too much to qualify for the next round of subsidies or whatever's left out there to get paid. How's that for adding insult to injury? I know Mr. Brett Stickle, James Brett Hair Salons, we were just talking the other day, still waiting for his $20,000 subsidy from the provincial government. And that was 4 weeks ago or something like that. So, yeah, we got to sort this out, folks. We really do. You got to be just aware. Be thoughtful. Be thoughtful towards everyone else. Be thoughtful towards yourself. And before you take a risk or think you're not doing any harm, just rethink that thought, because there is harm happening out there. There really is. And even more so now, because now these variants don't give a crap how old you are, what health conditions you have or don't have. It's now hurting everybody. And the vaccines are coming. People are getting vaccinated. I'm old enough, sadly now, to qualify for Kingston here now. I put my registered yesterday. I'm waiting to hear back when I can go into a pharmacy. I'm getting the AstraZeneca one. That's the one that's available. Get one if you can. But let's understand the science again, folks. Vaccines doesn't mean that you're now immune and you're impervious, right? Still means you got to wear a mask. Still means you're going to potentially get COVID. It just means that hopefully you won't end up in a hospital and hopefully you won't end up dead from it. That's what it means. And I know, going back to when I talked to Dr. Barron, this is going to be an annual cyclical thing. People are going to need to get vaccinated every year with this, especially with how this thing mutates so fast and all the variants that are out there now. So that's it. Supposed to be a rant, supposed to be a talk. I guess and we're all fatigued, and I didn't quite understand it in the beginning. So I'm going to blab a bit more. I didn't understand this COVID fatigue. I get it. Really do get it. How it affects your psyche. And those that are better equipped to deal with it, we got to get through, because there's a lot of people that aren't. This pandemic has just crippled those that are marginal, people that are mentally ill, people with addictions, people with needs, people that need care on a daily basis. And there's a long, long list. And each one as deserving as the next and as needing as the next. Can't prioritize that stuff. So that's all I ask. I wanted to say this because it was percolating inside of me and it was pissing me off. And happy to hear your opinions. Happy to share them. Happy to have a conversation. I just want to thank you for listening, and I'll catch you on the next one.